Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So I'm going to do this live because I only want to do it once. And let me make sure I'm up first before I go into it. Yes, I am active. Everything is green. So I am going to assume that everything is a go. Checking one last thing. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I have a question. This has kind of been rummaging around in me all day, and I wanted to get it out. I wanted to get it out in one shot before overthinking it. And so I'm just gonna point my thoughts in a direction and just go. I have a question. I have a damn good question. Whatever happened to the anti-war left? Rand Paul asked this question. Rand Paul, Republican Rand Paul, asked the question, where is the anti-war left? What happened to the anti-war left? During the Obama administration, the last year, they dropped 26,000 bombs. 26,000 bombs. There was a report out at one point saying they were running out of bombs. Imagine that. The United States military are dropping so many bombs that they're running out of bombs. It's like Burger King running out of hamburgers. That's an amazing thing. That is absolutely amazing. As high as 90% of the civilians or people hit were civilians. When Bush was in office, people railed. Oh, they railed at George Bush. How dare this bloodthirsty maniac is out there murdering people in this way. This bloodthirsty maniac, this goddamn George Bush. We got to get him out that office. And he's taken out that office. And Obama comes in office. And all of those people who decried and bitched and moaned and complained about how much George Bush was this bloodthirsty maniac, those people shut the hell up. Not just shut the hell up. Those people started making arguments for why it was perfectly okay for Obama to do it, but it was somehow horrible and bad if George Bush did it. We were doing strikes, and if you hit a 16-year-old and he was in this target area, that guy, that 16-year-old was considered an adult. And a fair shoot. So when Obama would always put the numbers, they would always downplay the number of people they murdered. They killed thousands of civilians. Thousands. And then was completely stunned by the fact that the kill list kept getting longer. And yes, I mean kill list. The President of the United States looking at a list of people he wants to murder. Where's the anti-war left? Where on earth is the anti-war left? How does that take place without some pushback? Some major fucking pushback. If it was bad when George Bush was doing it, certainly it's horrible when the President of the United States is a Democrat and he's also doing it. Let's take this to another level for the moment. We have flying killer robots flying in other countries. The United States has no justification for being in those countries, and ultimately we have no law that was passed that gives the president any cover whatsoever to go into those countries. He chooses, and he just goes. And the rest of the world leaves him to his devices. They don't say squat. They allow the United States to go into one country after the next. We are in 70% of the countries around the planet. Think about that. The United States is military in over 70% of the countries on the entire planet. This is amazing to me. The CIA was given the authority to use drones. Now, right off the bat, you can see how this is somewhat problematic. The CIA's job is to lie and work in the shadows. If the CIA is working in the shadows and they're murdering people with drones in the shadows, how do we know how many people the CIA has murdered that were innocent? Do you believe that every innocent person that you hit, there's a family member somewhere that's angry, that's seething with a certain amount of rage at you and your country for what you're doing? Do you think that those people would take the fastest thing moving, even if that's some kind of religious ideology? Do you believe that each and every one of those people who are out there fighting is purely this religious zealot, this mindless religious zealot that's just spewing Islamic verses with a machete all day long, trying to get you? Or do you believe there's a certain level of emotional depth to those people who might have lost a loved one in one of those strikes that killed their teacher or mother or cousin or uncle or brother or dad or father or their baby? Yes, we're also killing babies. Trump expanded this power to the CIA purely in order to obfuscate how many people they are murdering abroad. Trump has also stepped up the bombing that was taking place under the Obama administration. Near the end, when Obama left office, he left office dropping 26,000 bombs that year. Trump has picked up the pace. Where is the anti-war left? That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. Our country is murderous. It's murderous. It believes because it's a superpower, it can do whatever it wants. That is this unipolar power of sorts. If the United States wants to go into the Middle East and set it on fire, everybody else can fuck off. This is what we're doing. And then the rest of the world fucks off. That's exactly what takes place. During the Vietnam War, there was a draft. Because there were a draft, students were bitching and moaning and complaining, and Richard Nixon was terrified sitting in that White House. He thought they were coming to get him. One guy set himself on fire in front of the defense secretary's office. You understand the severity of what I'm saying. You're at home. It is difficult for you to kind of comprehend this idea of violence that's taking place, where our resources, our cash, goes into training and arming and putting weapons in people's hands, sometimes our own soldiers, to shoot other people in the face, to drop bombs on other people where they're being exploded with heat and fire and fury. All of that paid for by the tax dollars of the United States of America. Do you understand we're at $20 trillion in debt and you have nothing to show for it in your country? You don't have rails. You don't have these awesome things that you would think a country with the wealth of the United States will have. You've spent $20 trillion and a large share of that, a large part of that, was to murder other people abroad. Where's the anti-war left? That's what I'm asking. Mass murder is not enough to get people out of bed. People will go and protest Donald Trump saying he's kicking Mexicans or preventing Mexicans from coming into the country. Barack Obama was murdering those same Islamists, Muslims, out the country. But Obama was murdering those same Muslims wholesale. He was murdering them wholesale. I am trying to make a very particular point. Where is the anti-war left? Is it possible that because the military is, I guess you could say, loaded up with 1% of the population? We don't have a draft anymore. It's volunteer. The president essentially gets his own private military because it doesn't affect the rest of the world, or it doesn't affect the rest of the country. 1%. The other 99% work their jobs, eat their Cheerios, tuck their kids in the night, and go about their way, completely unaware of what's taking place with that 1%. The president gets his own little military force. Those people ask to join the military, so they're there voluntarily. So yes, the president can go gallivanting around the globe. It doesn't affect the rest of the country, so the country doesn't give a shit about it. You can kill whoever you want. Not to mention the mercenary forces that we pay off. I find this to be amazing. And maybe that's why this is digging in me in this way. If somebody was shot in front of you, you would have a stark reaction to it. It would blow your mind. You would be catatonic, potentially. But you understand that we're doing that wholesale. Like, we're doing that on a massive fucking level to a lot of people. That's not trivial. That's not fighting over taxes. We're talking about life and death. We're talking about people, human beings, people just like you that love their family, love their kids, love their dogs, just like you, who wants to just have a decent life just like you, being obliterated through our wealth in our name. I'm saying, if the left is going to get up in arms about anything, if the left is going to bitch and moan and point fingers, if the left is going to scream accountability for anything, it should be what takes place in the name of the United States abroad. The snarl face of America. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to belabor the point. We've been at war constantly, nonstop. If you had a kid that's 15 years old, that's all that kid knows. The United States in a war on terror, the dumbest fucking war in the world, because I don't know what that means to have a war on terror. If anything, we're exporting terror across the globe. Now, the anti-left understands a very particular point. You don't solve things in this way, with violence. Like, this violence is this kind of self-perpetuating thing. You know, you have a president, for the most part, who looks at this thing as being a tough guy and a big guy. So in his mind, it's the schoolyard bully attack. I am going to make you complicit. You must follow. You must obey what I'm saying. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. The United States should get us off. We have nothing to do with any of this stuff. Leave those people to their own devices. Now, I'm saying that for all of those situations, no, we should not be paying people in Syria to undermine another government. That's fucking ridiculous. No, we shouldn't be helping Saudi Arabia murder Yemenis. No, we shouldn't be in those countries. We shouldn't be in Somalia. We shouldn't have did shit in Libya. We shouldn't have did any of those things. All of those things have the consequence of setting those regions on fire. That was the consequence. Setting it on fire. At which point has our behavior around the world has been less war. If anything, it's been more. It's been destabilizing that region. Libya turned into a fire pit. Yemen turned into a fire pit. Syria has been at war for God knows how long. And mind you, part of the reason they were at war for that long is because we were assisting rebels that try to overthrow another government. We're bitching about Russian hacking, and we're out there putting guns in the terrorists' hands to take down another country. It's just fucking amazing to me. Yeah, I asked, where's the anti-war left? Why don't people get in arms up with this stuff? Why does this stuff get just... There's mass murder. Yeah, we're $20 trillion in debt. And you have to ask, where's that money going? I don't see it around me. You don't have health care. You don't have free college. You don't have these roads and infrastructure being built in any particular way that's modern. You have squat for that cash. That cash was put into the hands of people who are building bombs and building weapons and building ships and planes to kill other people abroad. The anti-war thing, it's not... Look, if you want to look at it from a greedy perspective of sorts, why do you want the wealth of the nation being spent abroad in this way? Why? Do you honestly believe it benefits you to have a military that's spending $1 trillion to murder people abroad? You have squat to show for that money. So, even from a frugal perspective, it's, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe we shouldn't do this. If the moral argument doesn't matter, maybe the frugal argument. Maybe we shouldn't be spending our money in this way. It's amazing. I will leave it. It's just aggravating. Let's see. Hello, Jamal in the group. You're channeling the same progressive. I mean, so same progressive and I agree on most things. I mean, we may break at this idea of, I guess maybe hopefulness in a sense, or what can take place. But from just a moral standpoint, why the fuck are we murdering people abroad? And why are we spending $1 trillion to do it? And what on earth is that going to accomplish? The anti-left or anti-war left is correct. You're not going to get anything by murdering those people. If anything, the things that you do to murder those people is turning you into a monster. And mind you, a monster that they can use their propaganda against. They can leverage your behavior with their conflict. You must understand, the United States has been pushing a lot of this stuff. It's not as if this stuff was just left to its own devices. No, we interceded. We went into a country and murdered a goddamn million people. There was no consequence for anything. The guy's out there painting right now. He was sitting on Ellen and all these talk shows. He's a fucking mass murderer. It's amazing to me that that flies. It's absolutely amazing to me that that flies. That has nothing to do with her. That has everything to do with what's correct. That's everything to do with what's correct. I asked the question, where's the anti-war left? They are revving up for a war with North Korea. But when you think about it, there wasn't that much of a pushback on the war with Iraq. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were people who were pissed. They pushed. The moment Obama took office, those people went to sleep. They went to sleep. Yes, he's murdering civilians with drones. And then you can find a Democrat that will make an argument as to why Obama has to murder civilians with drones. But it was horrible for George Bush to do the same thing. These people are hypocrites. These people are just hypocrites. They're party politics. I'm saying beyond the party politics thing, we're murdering people abroad. Rand Paul, when he asks that question, to some degree, he's shaming Democrats. Where is the anti-war left? This is somewhat of a shaming statement. And he's right. Where is the anti-war left? These guys are revving up for another conflict with either North Korea or Iran. Where is the anti-war left? Where is it? Blood and treasure of $20 trillion. How much more do you want to spend for another war in the Middle East? How much more do you want to spend right now? How much more do you want to spend right now? They're giving them $1 trillion. And we're quibbling over healthcare and education. Would you rather that $1 trillion be spent at home where everybody can have an education and everyone can have healthcare, as opposed to spending that money murdering people abroad? I guarantee you could take $100 billion of that and build infrastructure, roads, food, and everything else in those countries, and you would do a hell of a better job than using that money to destroy stuff. So it's aggravating to do this. The anti-war left got bought out for very little. You know, when Obama took office, I met a guy when we were at Convergence. He says he didn't think that he didn't think blacks were ready for a black president. He was like, yeah, man, I don't think we were ready for a black president. Now, he's saying this for a very particular reason. It feels like hands off. The Republicans shot themselves in the foot on this. They attacked him so viciously and so unfairly, and some of those attacks were racist. They were veiled racist attacks at times. That reflexively, you had to defend him. There was no choice in it. It's like, I give you an example. There's this thing where Hillary Clinton was being dragged in front of the well of Republicans, and they were asking her questions, and they were going after her so unfairly on some of the stuff that it made you kind of root for Hillary Clinton as she's doing that. It was kind of like that with Obama for his entire term. He's in that office, and Republicans are being so vicious towards him, and you're thinking to yourself, it's the first black president. I don't want to hit him too hard. I don't want to hit him. I don't want to hit him at all. It's the first black president. And they're going after him so viciously, so vile and so unfairly that I got to bolster him. I got to back him up. I don't want to go after the guy. So to some degree, he had a free pass from the left. Yes, Republicans were going after him, but they're fucking crazy. The attacks that would bite and would take root are the ones from the left. And that was just, it didn't happen. For the first time, you had African Americans who were mostly skeptical of war and everything else being okay with Obama's wars. They didn't want to touch him. They didn't want to hit him. They wanted to let him ride. And it's understandable why they let him ride in that sense. It's perfectly understandable. It's first black president. They're treating him unfairly. He needs to be bolstered. I don't want him to have just one term. I don't want it to look like he failed and his etc., etc., etc. It's understandable. I get it. From a human level, I get it. But he was a fucking mass murderer. In the same way that Bush was a mass murderer. And to pretend as if it's not true that he wasn't ordering bomb strikes with flying killer robots. If that was somebody else, any other country, pick any other random country in Africa, and some despot started to have flying killer robots shooting down and murdering people in other countries, what would the response of the world be? Why is the response of the world, why would it be so aggressive? Why would it be so just over the top, like, hell no, you were not allowed to do this? Why would it be that way for that person? But it's okay for the United States to do the exact same thing. And again, I keep making this point. No law has been passed that allows the president to do this from a legal standpoint. And he's certainly damning from a moral standpoint. Congress has just abdicated its responsibility to reign in the president on this. So you have this imperial president who essentially functions as a king. He just says, well, hey, it's a war on terror. The war on terror is never ending, and so I get to do whatever the hell I want. I'm the president of the United States. Presidents do not cede power in this way. So it's not like Donald Trump is going to get in office and says, I want you guys to limit the powers that I have at my disposal. That's not going to take place. Whenever there's expansion, there's expansion. The next president is going to inherit those powers. So, yeah, you have an imperial presidency now. It's just finding it to be fucking amazing that that's allowed. It's massively illegal. Look, I guess the point I'm trying to make is because it was Obama and because they didn't want to hit him, they went along with this idea of if he's doing it, we're on this train. They were less inclined to hit him. There was no anti-war left at that point. The moment that a Democrat got elected, the anti-war left was pretty much abolished. It was destroyed. Half of them went to sleep. Those halves were infatuated with the idea that they had a black president. And they may have even liked the guy. They liked the way the guy talked. They liked the way the guy acts. I'm talking about policy. I'm not talking about the way he acts. I'm talking about policy. The things that they were doing in the world. It's not as if the consequences of the things that Obama was doing wasn't have real world consequences in regards to murdering civilians. So let's be honest about it. The anti-war left was destroyed with the electing of Barack Obama. That's the truth of it. Half of them went to sleep. We are a war economy. That's true. That's actually very true. We are a war economy. The $1 trillion that we spend in the military, that money is going somewhere. Bombs, bullets, gear, equipment, etc., etc., etc. That money creates jobs. It's a jobs program. If they said we're going to cut the military budget by half, you would have a massive amount of layoffs. There is a disincentive for a congressman to go back to his home district and saying, yes, I'm trying to cut the military budget in half. And there's a military base or something, or some company that supplies military gear. It's a disincentive. He's going to want to keep those jobs in that region, so he's going to be less inclined to try to cut the budget for the military. They full well understand it. I would prefer that money to go into other pursuits. You could say, hey, let's have a federal jobs guarantee. Take $250 billion from it and put it into that. There are better options, man. Like, I understand that they believe that the military is... Look, they're just better options. This is morally repugnant by the way. This is morally repugnant. Yeah, man. I asked the question, where's the anti-war left? I don't see it. I don't see it. Yes, it was destroyed under Obama, but even then, I did not see it under Obama. You would have thought that with all the drone killings and everything else, that they would have been in an uproar. But they weren't. They weren't the anti-war left. They were just Democrats. And in doing so, they just wanted something to have opposition with against the other party about. When their party started doing the same thing, those hypocrites shut the hell up and went about their way. Now they want to bitch at Donald Trump for doing the same thing. I don't think we have an anti-war left in this country. Or at the very least, if we do, it's very dispersed. It's all over the place. And in no way have they collected themselves into something that's actual a substantial force. My question is, how do you start that? How do you get that anti-war left? How do you get that fundamental red line of, no, I am not supporting you if you're going to be bombing somewhere else? No, my answer is no. I would not be complicit. Now, I don't know where those people are, man. I'm assuming those people are around. I just don't know where they are. They're not making, put it this way, it's not putting up enough of a fuss where there's a smoke or something like that where you can see this thing brewing. They're trying to go after 2 other countries, potentially using our military to go after 2 other countries. They're going to have millions and millions of lives lost in any attack on Korea. The entire oil markets are going to be destabilized on any attack of Iran. These buffoons may actually do it, though. So, I'll leave it to that, man. I asked the question, where's the anti-war left? And if it's out there, sound off. Alright, guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, write, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.